Here's the story of my 6-year-long stalker that literally stalked me for 6 years of my life. Actually, I guess he probably would have stalked me way longer, but he's, so, you know, RIP, I guess. I really don't know. You traumatized me, so burn in hell. When I was 17, I got a message on Instagram, and it was from this guy who literally looked just like Tupac, like looked like an impersonator. And let's just call said Tupac impersonator Carl. Carl messaged me and was like, "You are so beautiful, let me take you out to dinner." Of course, my 17-year-old self was like, period, Tupac. Yes, you can take me out to dinner. The only thing a guy my age had ever asked me to do was finger me in his mom's basement. So it was like, I'm being swept off my feet. Boy, was that a mistake. That was quite the mistake. I ask him how old he is, and he's like, I'm 19, and I'm like, perfect, I'm 17. He's probably so mature. Like, he's probably so mature. So a couple days later, he picks me up in a brand new Altima, and I'm just like, what 19-year-old has a brand spanking new Altima? I don't know one. At this point, I was like, is Tupac alive? Is Tupac alive? When I tell you I was expecting to go to like a McDonald's, no. We went to a steakhouse. At this point, I'm kind of like confused because he looks his age. He looks 19, but he's spending money like he's in his mid-20s. So during the date, he tells me that he only pays for dates if he ends up liking the girl a lot. So I take this as a challenge because I have $12 to my name at this point, and I'm like, he needs to like me because this place is expensive. Baby, I'm pulling out the bells and the whistles. Tell me about your trauma. Tell me about your ex-girlfriends. Tell me about your life. How's your mom? Everything I can think of. Hey babe, well, he liked me too much, all right? So he paid for the date, and then he proceeded to take me to Sonic, and we got the grossest milkshake I've ever tried in my entire life. While we're waiting for that disgusting milkshake in the drive-thru, he starts telling me about the last date he went on with the last girl he went on a date with, and let's call her Maria. Start to realize that I go to school with Maria. I know who Maria is. Not only do I know who Maria is, but she's like in my inner group of friends. So like I hang out with her pretty frequently. After this like 3-hour-long date, he finally takes me home, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to ask Maria about Carl when I go to school tomorrow. Like, I need to know why he didn't pay for their date. What happened? She's so cool. Like, what happened? Next day at school, I go up to her at lunch, and I'm like, yo, you went on a date with Carl? And she's like, Carl? And I was like, yeah, Tupac Carl. Like, what about it? She's like, please tell me you didn't go on a date with him. And I'm like, yeah, I did. He took me to the steakhouse. She's like, well, on the date, I found out that he was actually 24. At this point, I'm doing the math in my head. Like, how old would Tupac be right now? And obviously it's not 24, so we were good. Like, yeah, and I also found out that he has a girlfriend. After we were done with the date, the girlfriend reached out to me, and I was like, oh, awesome. So not only is he a creep, but he also has a girlfriend. Really not shit. Like, they are not. Obviously, I text him, and I'm like, you're literally a liar and a creep. Why would you lie about your age? And also you have a girlfriend. And then I just blocked him. You probably would think that would be the end of that, but it absolutely was not. I'm definitely gonna need a part 2. I'm so sorry. 2 of the story of my 6-year-long stalker. Let's do this. After I block his number, he makes like 6 fake numbers being like, please let me explain, please let me explain. Like, I swear to God, I didn't lie to you, blah, blah, blah. I'm blocking like number after number after number. So he resorts to Instagram, obviously. This like obsession with Bart Simpson, which is a key player in this story. So remember that. Which like, what the fuck? Why are you obsessed with Bart Simpson? That is literally so random and weird. When I get home from school that day, I get home and there's flowers on my aunt's porch for me. And I'm like, oh my God, this man knows where I live. So I unblock his number, and I'm like, do not ever come to my house again. Don't ever leave me flowers. Like, we are not friends. You're a creep. Immediately reblock his number because I'm just not interested in even hearing what he has to say. Like, you're fucking weird. Doesn't he show up at my aunt's house later that night and come knocking on the door? And just my luck, no one but me is home. I go up to the door and I'm popping the fuck off. I'm like, why the fuck are you here? What is wrong with you? You're so creepy. Like, this is so weird. And he's like, please, 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 like, let me just explain. Let me just explain. And he goes on to tell me that he has a developmental issue that makes him look so young. And he was just embarrassed to tell me his real age because he looks so young. And I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, none. Like, zero. It's like, the girlfriend that I had isn't my girlfriend anymore. She just tells people that she's my girlfriend because she's crazy. And I'm not with her. I haven't been with her in years. And I'm just like, I think I've heard this all before. I'm just like, okay, that's cool and good, but I still don't want to talk to you. Like, my aunt and my mother would not be very cool with me dating someone almost 10 years older than me. I'm not cool with it. Like, I just don't, you lied about it. That's so weird. So he finally leaves after having his literal temper tantrum, and he stays blocked on everything. Like, I am not unblocking this man for the life of me. So things are quiet for about a week after that, and then I start getting messages and likes on my Instagram from this weird account that has 2 followers, and the picture is of Bart Simpson. I know who this is. I immediately know who it is and block him. And then he makes another one. and he does it again. This cycle literally continues for years. Like, I would block a Bart Simpson account and then another one would follow me. I would block it and another one would follow me and another one would message me. It's like, it was insane. Every year without fail, I would get the happy birthday message from a Bart Simpson account and then a happy Christmas message. It was just ridiculous. My 21st birthday was during COVID, so I couldn't go out and like drink on my 21st because it was like everything was shut down. So whenever COVID like reopened and everything was reopened, me and my friend decided to go to the bar. At this point, things had slowed down. I honestly had thought he was done. Like, I was like, he's not stalking me anymore. Well, to my dismay, I was wrong. Posting on our stories and having fun, and then don't you know, ends up showing up to the bar I'm at and just standing there and staring at me. We leave because I was terrified, and I go to my Instagram immediately because I know he probably messaged me. And he did, and he was like, I saw you and you looked beautiful. I literally flipped the fuck out. I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. I said some choice words, a lot of stuff, and I think he finally got it. Finally, said ex-girlfriend reaches out to me, and she's like, he does this to everyone. I've heard this so many times. I'm like, great. Then a few months later, he died of a heart attack.
Let me tell you guys about the time that one of the servers literally shamed me in front of my other coworkers and in front of multiple guests. Before I tell the story, I do want to say that most of the staff there were actually really good, hardworking people, and I made some great friends that I'm still in touch with to this day. But there was this one lady. We're gonna call her Stacy. She honestly had an amazing work ethic. Since this restaurant was in the resort, she worked there part-time and also part-time as a pool waitress, which is a really hard job. She would be putting in 12-hour days like all the time. She was always on her feet. She was amazing. But for some reason, she was always literally so salty at me, and I could never figure out why. I was literally always so nice to her too. I would always say hi to her and be super sweet to her, but she would make these passive-aggressive comments at me like all the time for no reason, and only me. Keep in mind, I had this job during COVID, so one day I came in and they told us all the mask mandate had been dropped so we could take off our masks. So we all take off our masks, and Stacy is walking around telling everyone how great they all look without their masks. So she comes to the front of the restaurant and she sees me, and she literally says as loud as she can, "Wow, Jessie, you look really different without your mask." So I literally said, "Is that a bad thing?" So she says, "No, you just look really different." Hello? Literally put my mask back on for the rest of the day after that. But obviously that's not the shaming. So the dress code for a hostess at this restaurant was literally just any dress or skirt. This is a really old picture, but this is the skirt I was wearing. That's the exact one. It went about like halfway to the knee, maybe a little lower. So I wore that skirt on a day she wasn't working. All the managers were there. It was an 8-hour shift. They all saw me in that skirt. No one said a thing, except it's cute. I got compliments. So I literally have that exact same skirt in a gray color. So that's what I wore the next day. Same exact skirt, just different color. So I had been there for like 6-7 hours at this point. My shift was almost over and the managers were not in yet. They were coming in later. And then Stacy gets there. She's been there for about an hour. Actually, not even an hour. She's been there for like literally 30 minutes. And she comes up to me and she says, "Jessie, you need to change right now." So I'm like, "What? Why?" And she says, "Literally 2 tables have made comments to me about your skirt within the past 5 minutes. You can literally see up your I can see everything. It is way too short and frankly inappropriate." First of all, it was a literal squirt. And second of all, my mother drove me to work that day and she would have me if I left the house and anything like that. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I can't really change. I can't go home. I only have an hour left in my shift. Sorry guys, I'm out of time. Go to part 2. This is part 2. At this time, my coworker literally shamed me in front of my other coworkers and a bunch of other guests. So yeah, I was like, I can't really go home and change because I have an hour left on my shift and my mom dropped me off here, so I have no way of getting home and I can't just walk out on the job. Plus there wasn't a manager there. I could tell that I was leaving. So she said, "If you don't do something about that right now, I'm gonna call a manager immediately and get you fired." Mind you, I was up at the hostess stand next to 2 other hostesses. The bartender was right over there. Another server was right over there, just watching this unfold. So I happened to have a jacket with me and I said, "Okay, I can tie this jacket around my waist." It was a longer jacket, so it draped down to my knees. And I was like, "Is this okay?" Tell me why I was asking my coworker if my outfit was okay with her. So she says, "Yes, that's fine, but you need to not wear that again because everyone here is shocked at how inappropriate that is. And all of my tables are talking about you. You better hope none of the managers get here before you leave. I'm just looking out for you, sweetie." And then she turns around and walks away. My jaw was like on the floor. So then one of the server guys pulls me aside and he's like, "She's lying." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "I was right next to her when she was serving those 2 tables." And by the way, he knew those were the 2 tables she was talking about because those were the only 2 tables she had served that day. So he said, "She's lying. I heard their entire conversation. No one said a word about your skirt." And then he was like, "And frankly, it's not too short at all. It looks like a normal skirt." I was like, "Thank you. I don't understand what her problem is." Not only that, but right before I left, both of the managers walked in, stopped, talked to me, said hi, talked about my schedule for the week. I was there for a solid good 20 minutes before I had to clock out. Clocked out, none of the managers said a word about it, and I left. I had literally just turned 18, and this made me feel so bad about myself, and my mom had to convince me that I was fine. My skirt was not too short, and no one knew why the hell she said that. And I literally have so many stories about this, mostly about guests like screaming in my face about the most ridiculous things. So I will definitely be making this a series, all for the next part.